Amani did not feel holy after giving the coin. She did not feel brave either. As she walked away from the woman with the baby, doubt rushed in like cold air through an open door and filled every quiet space in her heart. It came fast, relentless, pressing against her chest until she struggled to breathe normally. 10 shillings. She replayed it over and over in her mind, as if repeating the number might make it smaller. 10 shillings could have bought flour. 10 shillings could have meant ugali that night. 10 shillings could have spared her the familiar pain of sleeping hungry. Her fingers curled into her palms as she walked, nails pressing into skin. She told herself not to look back. Looking back would mean regret. Regret would mean weakness. And weakness, she had learned early in life, was dangerous. The market buzzed around her, loud and alive, but Amani felt separate from it all. Vendors shouted prices, metal basins clanged, goats bleated impatiently. Somewhere, a radio played a crackling gospel song about blessings and overflow. The words felt cruel. Overflow? She thought bitterly. From where? She tightened her shawl around her shoulders and kept moving. The woman she had helped sat on the ground behind her now, rocking the baby gently, murmuring sounds meant to soothe hunger that could not be soothed by love alone. Amani forced herself not to turn around. She had already given. What more could the world ask of her? Still, doubt followed her like a shadow. What if you need that money tonight? What if God does not notice? What if kindness is just another way to lose? She reached her small rented room just as the sun dipped low, staining the sky with deep orange and purple. The door creaked as she pushed it open. Inside, the room smelled faintly of dust and old paraffin. A thin mattress lay on the floor. A cracked plastic cup sat beside an empty tin that once held flour. She closed the door quietly behind her and leaned against it, eyes shut. Why did I do that? She asked herself. No voice answered. Familiar and patient. That night, hunger came exactly as she had feared. It arrived slowly at first, a dull ache beneath her ribs, familiar and patient. Hunger had lived with Amani most of her life. It knew her routines. It knew how to wait. She filled her small metal kettle with water and placed it on the charcoal stove. As the water heated, steam curled upward, fogging the air. She lifted the kettle and poured the hot water into her cup, pretending it was tea. She inhaled deeply, letting the warmth touch her face, tricking her body for just a moment. Her stomach growled angrily. Not tonight, she whispered, as if hunger could be reasoned with. She sat on the mattress and sipped slowly, careful not to burn her tongue. Each swallow did nothing to ease the ache, but the warmth helped her feel less empty. When the cup was finished, she lay back and stared at the ceiling, tracing the cracks she knew by heart. Her lips moved in a prayer that sounded more like exhaustion than faith. God, please don't let it be for nothing. Her voice trembled. She had not planned to cry, but tears slid down her temples and into her hair. I didn't give because I had extra, she whispered. I gave because I thought you asked me to. Silence pressed back. What if I was wrong? She asked the ceiling. What if I just made my life harder for no reason? Questions stayed with her as sleep came slowly, wrapping around her like thin cloth that could not fully protect her from cold. Even in rest, her brow remained furrowed, her body tense. She did not know it then, but while she slept, heaven was already moving, quietly, carefully, without announcement. The woman Amani had helped was named Rahima. She had arrived at the market that morning with no plan and no hope, only a crying baby tied to her back and a hunger sharper than fear. The 10 shillings had felt unreal in her palm, light but heavy with possibility. With it, she bought porridge flour, just enough to quiet her baby's cries for the day. As she stood at the shop, clutching the small paper bag like a treasure, her eyes filled with tears. Who helped you? The shopkeeper asked, surprised. Rahima hesitated. A girl, she said softly. She didn't say much. The shopkeeper frowned, thinking. Later that afternoon, he mentioned it to his sister, Amani, while they closed the shop. A young woman, he said, quiet, wears a faded shawl. She didn't want attention. Amani paused. Amani? She asked slowly. The name settled into place. That same evening, miles away, Daniel Mwangi sat in his car, staring at his phone after ending a call. He could not stop thinking about the story he had just heard, a girl who gave without expecting anything in return, when she herself had little. Small acts did not announce themselves, they whispered, and God listened closely to whispers. When Mom and Jerry came to Amani's door the next afternoon, fear rose instantly in her chest. Life had taught her that attention often came before pain. "I was told someone wants to see you," Mom and Jerry said gently. Amani shook her head. No, she did not ask who. She did not ask why. "I don't want trouble," she added quickly. Mom and Jerry studied her face, reading years of hurt in a few seconds. "This isn't trouble," she said. "At least, I don't think it is." Hope stirred, unwanted and dangerous. "I can't," Amani insisted. "Please." But Mom and Jerry insisted too. When Daniel spoke to her, his voice carried respect rather than pity. He did not offer charity, he offered responsibility. He asked questions, he listened to her answers. He did not rush her fear away. Amani's heart pounded as she sat across from him, hands folded tightly in her lap. "Why me?" she wondered. "Why now?" "I need someone honest," Daniel said simply. "Someone who understands struggle but won't be swallowed by it." She wanted to laugh, or cry, or run. Her past stood between her and the possibility of something good, tall and unyielding. That night, she prayed harder than she had in years. "If this is not from you," she whispered, "please close the door. And if it is, give me courage." Peace came quietly, without fireworks or certainty, just a deep stillness that settled into her chest. The next day, she said yes. The work was not healing. The work was not easy. There were meetings she barely understood, papers that made her hands sweat, mistakes that left her awake at night, replaying conversations word by word. She questioned herself daily, but she showed up, she listened, she served. Slowly, her consistency began to speak for her. Then came the day money went missing. The room felt different the moment she entered. Conversations stopped, eyes shifted. Suspicion thickened the air, old fear returned, sharp and familiar. She waited for the accusation. It came. Amani stood frozen, heart pounding, prepared for rejection, because rejection was all she had ever known. Instead, truth stood firm. Daniel defended her. "I trust her," he said. Something inside Amani cracked open. That night, she cried alone, not from pain, but from relief. Months passed. Her life improved, though not dramatically. She still lived simply, still prayed quietly, still remembered where she came from. Then came another test. Growth brought opportunity. Opportunity brought temptation. One evening, she saw a young girl struggling with school fees and almost looked away, almost told herself it was not her responsibility. Then she remembered the coin. She gave. Years later, Amani stood before a group of young women. She spoke softly. She told them that her life did not change when she received help. But when she gave while she was still broken, she told them God did not always remove pain. Sometimes he gave purpose to it. In the crowd, Rahima listened. Mom and Jerry wiped tears. Daniel stood quietly at the back. Amani still walked dusty roads, but she walked differently. She had learned that when God wanted to move mountains, he often began with something small. The power had never been in the coin. It had always been in the choice to bend down and pick it up.